Okay, sit yourself onto your lift and just come into a good... Actually, let's start off in, not in cross legs, but in virasana. So come down onto your knees, unless virasana is not great for you, so maybe virasana might be a bit strong for your knees first thing in the morning, so you can try, you can just be in normal cross legs. But otherwise, just come onto your knees, have the knees together, get the thumbs into the backs of the knees and roll the calf flesh out to the side, and then just sit yourself down in virasana. So sit on a lift preferably. So you might not need a lift, you might be able to do this directly on the floor, but you know, this is the first thing we're doing, so ease yourself in, don't kind of squeeze yourself in. I think that's the same thing actually, isn't it? But never mind. Just listen to your breath. Just find some levelness. At the seat bones. And then just take some deep inhalations and exhalations. Just look at something that doesn't move on the floor. Just observe your breath. So sitting in virasana just gives you an instant elevation in the chest. It's easier to lift and open the chest in virasana. I used to go to a class where we always used to sit in virasana at the beginning of the session rather than swastikasana, and it can be challenging for some, but it's a good way to lift and open the chest. Draw your breath in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Just listening to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits, observing that the sounds are different. The sound of the in-breath has a different sibilance to the sound of the out-breath. The sounds originate in different places. As the in-breath, the sound of the in-breath originates at the nostrils, perhaps at the back of the nostrils or in the middle of the nostrils, and the sound of the out-breath originates at the back of the throat. Feel your lungs consciously from the bottom to the top, and empty them from the top to the bottom. If you feel that you are sitting unevenly, then adjust. Otherwise, bring your hands into Namaste. Press the palms firmly together, lengthen from your armpits into your elbows. And then with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Observe whether observationally anything changes when you close your eyes. Whether the observation of the breath changes in any way. Whether closing your eyes to remove the external stimulus changes. With an exhalation, draw your chin down to meet your chest. Lift your chest up to meet your chin. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area as you release the backs of your hands down toward your knees. Bring the palms to face upwards, the backs of the hands, and then on the thighs. Just connect the tip of the index finger with the tip of the thumb, just a gesture of wisdom, of physical intelligence, and of peacefulness that we can carry into our practice as an intention. So raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. So stretch your arms out. Really spread the palms broadly. Feel the palm skin stretch. And then raise your arms up and over your head in urdhva hastasana. Spreading the fingers, spreading the palms, and then turn to the right side. Try not to kind of become longer in one arm than the other. As you turn, draw the abdomen across and the ribs and the shoulders. And then keeping the spine lifted and long, bring your arms down. Bring your left hand over to the right side of the right thigh. Dig the back hand into the floor and turn. Drawing the abdomen across the ribs and the shoulders. And then come back to the center. Stretch your arms forwards and raise your arms up, really lengthening up towards the ceiling, like you're a seed growing out of the earth up towards the sun. And then turn to the left, drawing your abdomen across, keep the spine lifted and long, and bring your arms down. Digging the back hand into the floor, bringing your right hand across the top of the left thigh, drawing your abdomen across and your ribs and your shoulders. Just listening to the breath, feeling the breath brings comfort and calm. You can also use the out breath to intensify your pose, intensify the turn, and then gently come back to the center. Just grab your belt if it's handy, and then just come up onto your knees and just stretch your legs out. Sit back on your lift and then stretch your legs out. So your legs will be a little reluctant to straighten at first. Just go with that. Have the feet hip width apart. Lengthen from the hips into the heels. Have your hands either side of the hips. Lift up into the chest. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Listening to the inhalation and the exhalation. And then again with an exhalation, turn to the right side. Draw your abdomen across. Dig the back hand firmly into the floor. Draw the abdomen across the ribs, the shoulders. Keep the neck soft. As you turn, just look at your feet. Has your left leg grown? So try and extend into both legs evenly as you turn. Come back to the center. So when you turn, maybe it looks like the leg that you're turning away from kind of grows longer than the other, but it's really because you're kind of disturbing the hips. So try and keep the hips in position, lift up into the chest and turn to the left. Again, just have a look at the legs. Has it become kind of one leg significantly longer than the other? So you have to work that left leg more deeply to accommodate the turn. Breathing even, deep inhalations and exhalations. And then come back to the center. Just bring the feet into padottanasana. Just stay in on the lift, push the heels together. Get hold of the big toes. Now, sometimes I find getting hold of the big toes sitting on a lift kind of makes me drop here. So if you want, you might want to use a belt. Just slide that underneath the outside edge of your feet. Hold on to it so that you can lift up into the chest. Push the heels together. Lengthen from the inner groins to the inner knees. Lifting up into the chest, drawing your shoulders down. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Consciously stamp the heels together. Stamp the outer edge of the foot together. Stamp the toes together. Just feel that the insteps are lifting away from each other. To encourage the knees to come down. Lift up into the chest. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Breathe in from the bottom of the lungs to the top. Give yourself space in the chest to expand, so you might need to bend your elbows out to the sides a little if you're restricting your breath with your arms. Okay, and then release. Come down onto your knees and bring your hands as wide apart as your mat. Have your feet as wide apart as your mat. At the moment, I'm turning my hands outwards in dog down because of my finger injury. It just puts less pressure on there. So I've got my fingers pointing outwards. So you could try that if you want, or just have your fingers normally pointing forwards. Turn your toes under and then come up into Adho Mukha virasana. Adho Mukha svanasana. Dog down. So breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Tightening the kneecaps. Activating the thighs. Activating the legs evenly. So go into that sequence of observation and activation. A continual cycle of observation and activation leading into a sense of sensitivity. Keep your hands where they are, keep your feet where they are, and then swing your hips forwards, come into dog, up, lift. Push into the heels really deeply, and then lift the abdomen to the diaphragm, to the collarbone, to the chin. If there's no problem with your neck, then lift the chin to the ceiling. Push into the heels, keep the legs away from the floor. Broaden the abdomen, and then come back up into dog down. Just find your evenness of action. Push the fronts of the legs through to the backs of the legs. And then step yourself forwards, just come up into a standing position, and then have your feet as wide apart as the mat, have some blocks for your hands. Have your hands on your hips, lift up into the chest, tighten the kneecaps. Have your feet as wide apart as the mat, turning your toes inwards. Lift up into the chest, and then hinge at the hips, keeping the head lifted. Hinging entirely at the hips, keeping the head lifted, keeping the back straight, and then find the blocks. Make sure that your heels are in line with the little toes along the edge of the mat, so that you are turning your toes in significantly in order to give yourself space in the hips. Lift the legs. Like your feet are stuck to the floor and you're trying to pull the legs away from the feet. Lift the legs up to the hips, turn the fronts of the thighs inwards so that you can lift a little more into the seat bones, projecting the seat bones up to the ceiling, projecting the chin and the chest forwards. If you can go down lower, then do. Breathing even, deep inhalations and exhalations, lifting the seat bones, projecting the chin and the chest forwards. If you can go down all the way to the floor without aggravating a back condition, then go down to the floor. But if you've got a bad back, it's better to stay at a higher lift. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. If you can, keep lifting the seat bones away from the backs of the thighs, and then reach around the backs of your heels, extending the spine upwards. Keep drawing the chest through the legs. Keep the head activated. Don't just let the head hang down. Keep extending into the chin, whichever version of the pose you were doing. Just working with truthfulness, working with sensitivity and kindness to the physical body and the mind, and then just come halfway back to the half uttanasana stage, padottanasana, and then bring your hands into your hips, bend your knees on the way up if you need to, and then come up into a standing position, and then come into tadasana. So just stand in tadasana, inner edge of the feet together, lift up into the chest, tighten the kneecaps, lift up into the chest, elevating the heart area up to the ceiling. Listen to the sound of the breath as it enters and exits. Activate the legs by tightening the kneecaps, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards, tucking the tailbone in. Hitting your shins back so that your weight is in your heels. Lift from the abdomen to the diaphragm, to the collarbone, drawing the shoulders down, lengthening into the fingertips, lengthening the neck out of the shoulders. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. And then bring your arms out nice and wide. Turn the palms all the way up to face the ceiling, and then raise your arms up to turn around into urdhva hastasana. See if you can keep your arms really straight. Bring the arms parallel to each other if you can. If you can't straighten your arms, however, bring your arms wider so that you can straighten your arms. I kind of run out of ceiling height a little bit here. So turn the thighs inwards, tuck the tailbone in, lift the legs like you were trying to lift them out of the floor in Uttanasana. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. And then release. Just stand at the back edge of your mat and lift up into the chest. Wing your arms out, bring the arms in towards your chest, and then step or jump your feet nice and wide. Bring your hands into your hips, turn your toes inwards and tighten the kneecaps, lift the thighs. Activate your legs like you're in Tadasana. So find your Tadasana within the pose. Lift up into the chest and then hinge at the hips, come forwards, lengthening forward. You might need some blocks for underneath your hands, to have those underneath your hands if you need them, so you can just come up onto the lift if necessary. Be on fingertips, whatever you're using, however you connect to the ground. Be on fingertips rather than the heels of the hands. Lift the chest. Press the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs. Lift the seat bones up towards the ceiling. Project the chin and the chest forwards. Feel that you're working both legs evenly. Lift the seat bones away from the backs of the thighs, away from the floor. Lift the tailbone up to the ceiling. Lengthen from the abdomen to the diaphragm, to the collarbone, to the chin. To prasarita, padottanasana. So from here, we're going to go into trikonasana. So turn your left toes in slightly, the right leg and foot all the way out, and then walk your hands over to that right leg. Bring your hand onto the shin, that right hand onto the shin, bring the left hand onto the small of the back, and then rotate the chest all the way up to face the ceiling. Keep the legs really wide and lengthen the top hand up to the ceiling. So this is perhaps a wider trikonasana than we're accustomed to. But it really helps to stretch out the hips. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Just looking up if you can. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And then bring that top hand down, bend the knee if you need to, and the right knee if you need to, and then walk the hands back to the center and then back into prasarita padottanasana. So a nice wide-legged pose. Turn your right toes in and the left leg and foot all the way out. Make sure that your heel isn't in line with the edge of the mat, because you don't want your heels in line with each other for trikonasana. So bring your left hand onto the hip, bring your left hand onto the shin, bring your right hand onto the hip, and then rotate the chest up to face the ceiling. Activating the legs, activating the thighs, and then reach up with the top hand when you feel that you've found your levelness. So a really wide trikonasana. It's a really interesting trikonasana, I always think. It's a bit more of a challenge in some ways, but it really gives you space. It's a good way to learn how to find that action of lightness in the legs, but that has to come from deep action in the first place. Okay, bring that top hand down, bend the left knee if you need to find the floor, and then come back into prasarita. Now try and lift the seat bones. Lift the seat bones away from the backs of the thighs. Feel that stretch of the backs of the thighs. Project the chin and the chest forwards. If you can keep your back straight, hinge at the hips, and then bring your head down. But if your head is nowhere near the floor, don't just drop your head. Stay in the first, just stay in the first stage of prasarita, padottanasana. Whichever version of the pose you are doing, just take deep inhalations and exhalations, feeling the lungs from the bottom to the top. Finding the calming action, calming and comforting action of the breath. Okay, lift the head, come back to the center point. If you've brought your head down, bring the palms of the hands down to the floor. Bend your knees and step or jump your feet back together, and then come back up into Tadasana, and then urdhva, reaching up. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath, finding the openness of your chest. Working from the feet into the legs, into the hips, into the torso, into the arms, into the head. And then gently release. Come down onto your knees, bring your hands shoulder width apart. Step back, bring your feet hip width apart, and then come up into dog down. Feel that the legs are activated all the way from the tips of the toes to the tops of the thighs. That they're activated evenly, that they're doing Tadasana, finding your Tadasana within the pose. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Finding that comfort from each inhalation and exhalation. So from here, we're going to go into rajakapotasana. If it's too strong for you to come into it from dog down, then by all means come down onto your knees first, and then come into rajakapotasana in the traditional way. Just follow the rest of the instructions from your knees. Otherwise, bend your right knee, and then swing the right knee forwards. Bring the right knee in contact with the right wrist, and then have that right foot underneath the left thigh. Stretch your left leg away. Really tadasanaize that left leg. Turn in the front of the thigh inwards, the back of the thigh outwards, so that the hips come level. Come up onto your fingertips, and then lift up into the chest, lengthening into the toes of that left leg. Turning that left leg like you're doing Tadasana, so the front of the thigh turns inwards, the back of the thigh broadens outwards, so that it brings the hips more level. Lift up into the chest. And then we're just going to do a bit of a yin version of the pose. Come down onto your elbows. Just rest down on your elbows. Just have a little wriggle about in your hips. And just feel how just gravity can help to draw you down. And then create a couple of fists for with your hands, and then just rest your head. Just rest your head down, and then allow the body to release into the floor. So this isn't our typical practice style. This is more of a yin style, but sometimes when you're targeting a specific area, sometimes we can use different approaches to get in there. So these poses are all about opening up the hips. But of course, you should never really just focus on one area, because that's imbalanced. So we work to holistically find our way in. Just find the calmness of the breath. Find the calmness from the breath. And lift your head and then bring your hands back towards your body. Just come back up into a good stretched rajakapotasana, lengthening into the toes, really activating that back leg, lifting up into the chest. And then bring the heels of the hands down, turn the toes in, either step back that right knee to go back into, so you're just on all fours, or turn the toes under and then push yourself back up into dog down. So just whichever, coming onto your knees, if it feels better to come into your knees rather than into dog down. But once you're down on your knees, then just briefly come up into dog down, just to stretch out, just to feel how the hips feel really different. Watch where your feet are, because after that stretch, they might feel like they're in the right place, but then when you look, maybe they're not. Okay, come down onto your knees if you're coming into rajakapotasana from your knees. Otherwise, bend the left leg and then swing that left leg forwards. Bring the left knee in contact with the left wrist and walk the right leg away. Come up onto your fingertips. Tadasana that back leg and lift up into the chest. Turning the front of the thigh, that back leg, so that the back of the thigh broadens outwards, bringing levelness to the hips. And then come down onto your elbows. Just have a little wriggle in your hips for a moment. And then just make a couple of fists for your hands, lay one on top of the other, and then just rest your head down onto fists. Have the fists the other way round. So the other one on top of the other. That's what we did last time. And allow yourself to sink into the ground. So this yin approach to the pose, just using gravity to lengthen out tendons and ligaments between the muscles. So I don't know if you can hear the bird song in the background, but it's a real reminder of life, isn't it? That life returns in the springtime. We're heading towards, hopefully, some normal weather. And of course, that doesn't always follow in the UK, does it? But we can but hope. Okay, lift your head, bring your hands back close to the body, come back onto the tiptoes, recharge that back leg, lift up into the chest, lengthening the knees away from each other, keeping that back leg working deeply in padottanasana, and then bring the palms down, turn the toes under, either step back onto all fours or come back up into dog down. So if you come into all fours, to come out of the pose, just when you're ready, come back up into dog down. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, finding that comfort within the breath. The breath is confirmation of life. So we should never take it for granted. It's a gift. It's a gift of life every time we inhale. And then gently come down onto your knees and sit back on your heels with the knees wide apart, or the knees apart anyway, not necessarily wide apart. Sitting back on your heels. And observe how the body feels different to how it felt at the beginning of the session. Listen to the breath. So the feet, the big toes together, the knees apart, like you were going to go into Adho Mukha Virasana. But we're going to go into that paryankasana variation. So bring your hands back. Have your hands directly underneath your shoulders. Push the heels of the hands deeply into the floor. Stretch the fingers away from the heels of the hands. And then lift from the wrists into the elbows, up into the armpits. So you lift and open the chest. You really stretch out the shoulders. Now this might be enough for you, and that's fine. But you might want to turn the tailbone in and lift the seat bones away from the floor, pressing the shins firmly into the floor and lengthening into the neck. But only if that doesn't cause you any discomfort. Lift up into the chest, reaching from the wrists into the armpits. Feeling that stretch of the fronts of the thighs. Okay, bring the seat bones back down and then sit yourself back down on your heels and then come forwards into Adho Mukha Virasana. And then sit yourself back down onto your heels and then come down onto your back into supta padottanasana. So just holding the seat bones, letting the knees fall apart and lengthening the knees down towards the floor, stamping the heels together. Of course you can put some blocks underneath the outsides of your thighs if there's stiffness or discomfort. Just let gravity do its thing. Just letting the knees draw down to the floor, keeping the feet as close to the seat bones as you can. Stretch your arms up to the ceiling and then hook the thumbs together like you're going to do one of those butterfly silhouettes. Try and prise the thumbs apart, spread the fingers, spread the palms, and then lengthen your arms along the floor. If there's stiffness in your shoulders, you can put a folded blanket underneath your hands or block, just something to give your shoulders some support. Otherwise, just use the floor. Find comfort in the breath. So the fact that we're so reliant on the energy of the universe is something that in yoga we make an effort to acknowledge and to show appreciation for. Because without the planet that sustains us, there is no life. So either through the food that we eat that is a result of the ecosystem of the planet, or the air that we breathe that is a result of the ecosystem of the universe. We're here because the planet permits us to exist. So we should care for it. We should show it the same respect that it gives to us. Swap the hooking of the thumbs, so you hook the thumbs the other way round. So if the left was on the top, then swap it around, have the right on the top. Keep splaying the fingers apart. Breathing evenly, trying to prise the thumbs away from each other so that the shoulders and the armpits respond. And then just release your hands, rest your hands on your lower ribs. And then just continue to observe your breath. Just engaging entirely with the movement of the breath. You can, if you've got your hands on your lower ribs, you can feel the rib cage expand and relax with the breath. Try to keep your attention in the physical body, feeling how the feet are connecting, how the body is extending still even though you're reclining. So when we do the more intense poses, perhaps the mind is fully occupied by the extension. When we do poses that are a little more passive, rely more heavily on the breath to keep your mind occupied within the pose. Just observe the breath as it enters and as it exits. Okay, draw your knees together, have your knees together and your feet apart for a moment just to rest out the hips. And then hold onto the edges of the mat, pull your knees in towards your chest and then stretch your legs up in viparita karanhi. If you find it difficult to lift your legs, you can put a block underneath your sacrum or even a bolster. Otherwise, just stretch the legs up. keep extending deeply into the legs, finding your tadasana in your viparita karanhi. And then gently bend your knees, bring your feet back down onto the floor. Get a blanket from underneath your head. Make sure that it's evenly folded. Stretch your legs out. Just come up onto your elbows momentarily just to make sure that you're in a really good straight line. Right down the centre of your mat. And then allow yourself to release into the floor. Unhook the muscles of the arms and the legs so that the body becomes heavy on the ground. Just allow the body to settle into the ground and observe that feeling of energetic lightness radiating from the bones and into the muscles. Radiating from the bones and into the muscles and into the organs. Into the flesh and the skin. And when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, bring your knees in towards your chest, just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just a gentle massage on the spine. And then gently roll over onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into a seated position, just final cross legs with your hands in the masti, just a final spinal lift. Draw your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists and the reclining poses and the inversions bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. Just the tip of the index finger with the tip of the thumb, just a gesture of wisdom and intelligence and peacefulness that you can carry into your day. And then raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. So hopefully you feel really lifted in energy and ready to take on the rest of the day. So thank you very much for joining me.